Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go.
that's right. You know how we do it. It's time for the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. That's right. I don't believe you heard me. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Good news, bad news, and other shit. And it is Conspiracy Wednesday. You know how we do a Conspiracy Wednesday? We get into conspiracies.
Yes.
Because it kind of makes it easy. I thought if I called it Ice Cream Wednesday, might give you the wrong idea. I thought, seriously, Porno Wednesday.
Oh.
And that we would get a lot more viewers.
Yeah, you sure would.
But they would dress differently.
Yeah, sure would.
So I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So we got to talk to you guys. First of all, a bunch of stuff going on. Initially, and we're still going to talk a little bit about the Middle East because so much going on with the U.S. We got a story we want to talk about. Alex Jones is really accusing the UN of being hopelessly corrupt and part of the U.S.'s, group of bullies.
The latest in a long line.
Well, we'll see. That's some of the things they're talking about. But we have to really go to the hot topic of today first. Before we got to get into PMC too.
Yeah, I know.
But the hot topic has to do with Troy Davis.
Yeah, man.
Scheduled, for those of you who don't know, this is a man in Georgia, right? Yeah. Who has been on death row, scheduled for execution. A number of times has sort of escaped that. He's 42 years old, accused of a killing of a Savannah, Georgia police officer in 1989. Yeah. Convicted based upon eyewitness testimony. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't know this until recent years, eyewitness testimony is some of the most unreliable testimony that exists. When you look at the data on it, you find that people actually make mistakes in such a high degree, it's almost like a guess. Okay, it's really, really very flawed. And part of this is what led to then, along with the DNA, the fact that technology allowed us to do DNA testing and now start to develop DNA profiles, allowed for a number of individuals to be, removed from death row.
Right.
They've been showing people on TV all morning commenting on one of the men who had been on death row.
Right.
Been spared because the evidence came out that he was, falsely. And they know. It's funny that when you look and go ask experts, you will hear crazy numbers about the numbers of innocents when they'll say something like, well, we know that maybe 25 to 30% of the people executed could be innocent.
That's a high number.
I mean, ridiculous. It was so bad. Remember that in certain states, like they stopped it. They put a whole moratorium.
Right.
Because of the numbers of individuals that people, governors started saying, well, I can't sign this. So here we are again with this issue of the death penalty. Well, first I want to raise this issue even to the chat room. And I've raised this before. How do people feel about the death penalty anyway?
Wow.
What I like to call state-sanctioned killing.
Wow.
So you know what side of it I'm on.
Whoa.
Now let me preface this. When I say that I'm against the death penalty, I'm acknowledging that we are all human. Someone murders your daughter, your child, you want to kill him. I'm not a pacifist, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I too could be one of the ones coming across the courtroom
right.
to get you, okay? All right, I'm not a pacifist.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that we don't allow you to do those things. We know it's human nature to want vengeance, okay? I mean, these are all part of human nature. But should the state sanction killing? Well, as you know, many states do. In Texas, it's an art form.
Oh, boy, this, Mario, let's just say, this subject can be one topic that can go on for a month. So I don't know if we're going to get the answers. And I think it's very difficult to try to paint something through a black and white lens because you just want as much data. The only thing I'm saying is this. I can't make the determination to go out and determine in a black and white issue. Are they doing the best to discover if this man is innocent? That's all I'm saying. Did they put all the resources to bear to determine when you have the technology to go back, when certain states go out and rescue situations to say, look, we're going to have a mission to make sure we did the right thing. Has that taken place here with Troy Davis?
I'm not sure. What I do know is that of the eyewitnesses, 7 of the 9, or something like some high number of them, have recanted. 7. So to me, I'm of the opinion, really, that whenever there's any doubts,
Wow. 7?
whenever there's any doubts with somebody's life, see, this is part of why life, and first of all, I think life in prison, I know, anytime you think life in prison is not like a bad enough punishment, watch Shawshank. You know,
Right.
turn on one of those shows.
Right. Well,
Shawshank Redemption. I can't even watch those jail shows. They have
Right.
enough jail reality shows today that if you can get your fix, okay?
Right.
But I'm comfortable with putting people away in prison, you know, for life. Of course, it costs you some money. That's the whole thing. People don't want to.
why judges have this job is to bring some kind of neutrality to the whole situation. Can you be unbiased, or are you going to be biased when you're sitting kind of distant from family and associates and someone who's directly been involved in something, a heinous murder? It's different when I'm doing the objective from a point of view that don't involve somebody close to me.
Right.
Can you be objective when it's somebody close to you?
That's the idea of having the jury system.
Yeah.
And being able to do those things to try to avoid those. But obviously, we've learned certain things. Eyewitness testimony, terribly unreliable.
That I do know.
Terribly.
That's
Way
a
more than
factoid.
you guys.
Right.
In fact, the studies will show, even though you will believe it, and you're so subject to suggestion, you're very much subject to suggestion. Also, on the part of law enforcement, there is such a desire and pressure from the public to find somebody,
Right.
get somebody. Now, in the old days, it was easy because you just go get a brother, string him up, and then everybody could go back and be at peace. Of course, the murderer would still be out there running around.
You know,
But
right.
everybody would be sleeping better because they would have lynched the black man or something. And,
Right.
and said, okay. Nowadays, they still have a lot of that mentality, even though it's
Right.
not so much always racially based.
Right.
But there's always this issue of finding someone. Find someone
Right.
and charge them.
Can I? I'm gonna ask a question, and I'll make it a little bit easier. It's a scapegoat question because you don't. It's hard to just answer. Are you for? Are you not? I'm fluid. It's like I learn things as I grow, and I grow to learn things. Would you accept? Can you accept eyewitness testimony enough for you to say it is a stronger piece of information now than it ever was? If
No.
if the higher number that it is not accurate, should you give that person who's on death row an opportunity now with it in question? Should that be the mission of the courts? I mean,
Well, that's what many people are saying. You know, part of the issue with this, of course, always, you know, you hate to play the race card. But let's face it, when you go look at who gets educated, you got to be poor and black, poor and dumb. And what's amazing when you go look at other statistics, there's some that really you might find interesting. Now, I haven't looked at what it is since the millennium.
right.
But prior to the millennium, in the whole history of the United States, I believe there had only been one white man ever executed for killing a black man.
Yeah.
In the whole history
Yeah.
of the United States. In other words, they don't execute white folks for killing black folks. It used to be unheard of.
Right.
In fact, even the one case that was cited then
Yeah.
was a white man who killed because someone had injured or killed his slave.
All right. I know
Okay.
I know where you're going.
So
I
what
know
I'm
where you're going.
saying is
But-
that these are laws that are primarily carried out against certain people.
Okay.
They just are. They're not carried out against people with money. It just doesn't happen. Okay?
Well, I'll say this. You know,
Maybe in Texas.
Mari, I know it's so hard. I said, it's one of those things where you get yourself caught between the fluidity of how you feel about it. I'm not trying to put you on the spot to say is it a black or white issue, but do you find yourself moving back and forth over as time?
Well, I think with modern technology, aside from witnesses, we should consider forensic evidence, DNA,
Yeah. Yeah.
in addition to the witnesses.
Yeah, and you're doing. I feel the same way. The question is, are we talking about a cost, the politics involved? Because typically, what we're saying, we're assigning some level of responsibility. Does that also bring back in the case of suits being brought against the city, at the state level.
Well, yeah,
where all
and
that
there
come
is a
in.
matter of cost. You had an issue here in Los Angeles at one point where like 90% of the rape kits hadn't even been processed.
Ooh.
Okay,
Whoa.
so you got DNA evidence, but ain't got anybody to process it into the system because that's a money issue.
Well, see, the reason why, I'm bringing up what they say, you have to weigh both sides of the position to know what people are up against. So to me, I'm trying to discourage those who saying, look, I can get away with crime. And I said the weight of it can really go against you if you look at the history. Unfavorably to those in minorities, and minorities are all over the planet. It's just not black folks. It happens in all communities. So, it's like Scared Straight back in the day, Martin. You know what I'm talking about. If you put the message out there that you will not have an equal opportunity to get away with this crime, you may want to think about things. Because I think one of the things that happen with people on death row is they mature. Unfortunately, I'm not advocating that they get a break just on a black and white issue, but they grow. Isolation puts you in a place, you have time, you start thinking, advocacy, what you believe in, and all of a sudden you become a different person. I said, but see, you had time to make that decision. The person you committed the crime against didn't have that time. So it's one of those things where I say, do we change from year to year the scope of our decisions, or are they always the same? 10,
Well,
20
there's
years
change
ago?
going on.
Yeah.
But that's part of the story.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to some other stories. I do want to take this moment to show you a piece by Mac McAllister from the Mac McAllister Journal, Till Death Do Use Part. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mac McAllister Journal. So let me see how Mac is again commenting. You see those numbers
Yeah.
that Mac was bringing out on this. Again, he was affected too, this whole issue. Playing out today. We're going to hear more about it as it goes through today.
Wow.
So more about that.
And like I said, got to go on. I can't. I let's go to the next. See, got me stuttering, man. You see, I want to continue on this subject, but I know we just can't right now, and it's just.
Well, there's just stuff happening today. We got to make a mention today also the fact that the Iranian hikers have been freed.
Oh, man.
Now,
Wow.
We've also said, and please heed this advice. As much as you love nature,
Okay, thank you.
don't go hiking in hostile territories.
Thank you.
Because if you do, you're kind of an idiot.
You're right. No,
Okay,
two
like
idiots.
last thing you do, don't go hiking in the Congo. Don't go along the Palestinian-Israeli
border.
border. Right? Don't go into Egypt right now. I don't care how much you love nature. Do something else.
Right.
Go to the Grand Canyon.
Wait a minute, Mario. Can I ask you
Because
something?
sometimes this stuff is so stupid. I go like, "What the hell are you doing there?"
Mario,
Right.
let me ask you
I'm
something.
American,
Mario,
man.
I guarantee you, this is the part where I say it became more a weight of a political, I guess you could say, platform. How much money did it cost to campaign and deal the whole situation with them? And you'll never hear the
Hey.
cost, but you'll hear local crime costs for certain
Dude.
things. I said, how much money did
Exactly.
it cost?
Let me just show you. Just be glad, first of all, they had a woman with them,
Yeah.
and that they're white. No offense. Can you imagine if you were like two broke Mexicans that saved
Yeah.
up your student money and went over there?
No, it wouldn't happen.
Don't even look to be like Middle Eastern descent.
No.
Because all of a sudden America doesn't care.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
well, what are you doing there?
Right. This was a leverage deal. When I heard the story, I said, okay, maybe it's
Sure it's a
National
leverage deal.
Geographic. They got caught in the mountains. They were approved of. Everything's. I had to sit there and think about. They do not watch news. Why would you go to? Can they go to Santa Monica Mountains over here in Malibu? Can you just keep it kind of local?
Tell your children. No offense.
Come on, man.
Don't go hiking or do any kind of nature shit near disaster zones, areas of ethnic conflict.
Right.
Stay your ass home. That's why your naive ass shouldn't be out there.
It's
Because you
just-
think it's okay. Just,
But you,
what the hell is that?
Hey,
That's true.
here's the part that's coming, you guys. I don't knock anybody getting a revenue stream, but a book, story, film, made for TV, something's coming from it. You know it's happening. It's coming. All right, man.
Well,
Now-
so anyway, I got, PMC, we're having some trouble with the video. I had it working on the other system.
Right. I know.
PMC, we have a wonderful piece PMC did on Obama. We wanted
I
to show.
know.
We're having some trouble with it on this system, PMC.
Yeah.
We have a suggestion too. Let's upload it to YouTube.
Man, if you
Or
do
upload
that,
it. PMC also joined the packstereo.com site.
There you go.
He can upload it there, even though I suggest you upload it to YouTube.
Right.
And then do a link from YouTube
YouTube.
over there.
Right.
So it could be in both places. We want to show that.
Yeah.
You guys, because these are some of the issues people are talking about is the money being made right now off of the Middle East. As it turns out, you guys, here's some of the things they're talking about. For one, private contractors. The Obama administration, I guess on the internet, they were advertising for jobs or whatever. But supposedly the Obama administration is planning on spending, well, anywhere from $25 to $100 million to build a prison in Afghanistan. Remember we told you that part of the issue with Gaddafi in Libya, why the U.S. was so tepid, was Libya was the site where the U.S. was doing renditions. We were taking people we were picking up in other countries to Libya,
Right.
the home of our enemy, quote unquote, even though he's on our payroll, Muammar Gaddafi.
Right.
Okay, where we were now using the Gaddafi people to torture and interrogate people for us. See how the plot thickens?
Yeah.
So you don't like Muammar, you like him enough to bring people from other countries to his country, to your underground prisons. Well, they want to build one in Afghanistan too. Remember, I talked about and told you that the U.S. had, admittedly, 7,000 drones
I remember.
over Afghanistan.
I remember the
Remember I
report.
told you, if they say 7,000, how many is it?
Really?
14,000. I also told you that I did my own research, and go verify it yourself, because it shocked me. U.S. in 2010, under President Obama, spent $669 billion on military. The nearest person was China, with nearest country, with $114 billion. We outspent everybody else combined. The U.S. accounts for 42% of all military spending in the whole world. We have 90% of the nuclear weapons. Okay? We can kill everybody. That's why when they talk about who we owe money to, I go, isn't that a farce? Because if you own all the weapons, when you owe somebody money, you just go kick their ass. Now they work for you, right? You don't owe them shit, do you? I said, well, that's the world I know. So so the only time it doesn't work like that is where there's a hidden deal. Because believe me, don't think that the U.S. owed anybody in the world all that money. They would make up an excuse and invade you. Are you kidding? Look at the history.
Yep.
All right, so I wanted to let you know that the U.S. planning for this facility. You can do it. They plan on being able to start out housing around 2,000 prisoners. By the way, I wanted to then add to these numbers for you to let you know. The U.S. is still holding over 2,800 people outside the United States without charge or trial. 2,800 people we have in our custody without charge or trial. Okay, now this is where I go to this us or them thing. Because they go, well, they're not Americans. You know, if I always say I'm a citizen of the world, I pledge my allegiance to God. I find it very hard to justify in my mind treating an American citizen different from this person or that. It's that whole us-them thing. You know, so it's us, so we don't do that to them because they're us. But if you're not us, then we can screw you over and kill you. It's okay. You know, what is this? But again, well, we still have 2,800.
Wow.
And the president, again, this is the change president, right? Change. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just bringing it up because you wonder why there's no money to pay for your vaccinations, why there's no money to help you with the issues that are helping America. There's no money to clean up the BP. There's no money to help Japan with Fukushima. Same thing that's going over there.
Yeah.
It's the same things you see. The people with the money and the power, they still have the money and the power. They're just not spending it on you. And one day when you wake up, just like a lot of the Japanese citizenry,
Right.
when they suddenly look up and realize how screwed they've been,
Yeah.
okay, then that's when it gets a little testy.
Yeah.
Because people are going to respond. Okay. So, again, I want to get PMC's piece, but PMC, I'm having trouble with it. I was trying to do it. I had it working on the other system. I'm sorry about that. That's why I thought it would play.
Yeah, I had a little bit of time and effort doing it, and I knew it, and I should have suggested this. My fault, PMC. I should have told you. YouTube. It's much easier.
Put them
just
on
less
YouTube
complicated for
and
us.
then link it over, and you can put it on the other site too. I want to show that.
Yeah.
And we will show that. Okay.
I just want to know: did you go to the mountaintop to do that wonderful presentation, man? I saw the trees and the bushes behind.
Because I got all passionate. Man, you guys, see what gets me is that, okay, I admit I'm a radical leftist, but 669 billion. How about 400 billion? Okay, can we have maybe 100 billion for something else?
Yeah.
But do we have to spend that much more than everybody? At what point do you say enough is enough? And this is the part where I definitely cast my dispersion across the Democrats and the Republicans. That's why they're all full of shit. Have you heard anybody mention defense cuts? Ron Paul alluded to it a little bit. This is why it's a dog and pony show, why I find them so disgusting. You won't, because it's so politically incorrect, because that manufactured climate out there says that you can't discuss cutting defense. 669 billion, you guys, more than everybody else combined. Yeah. Combined. We can't take none of that money and help our people. We can't do none of that, build roads and street. We can't take 600. That's in 1 year.
Yeah.
That was in the year 2010. That 1 year, 669 billion.
A lot of money, right?
Okay. All right. That's why they don't have money to help you, Riri.
Riri.
No, they don't. Can't.
Who's Riri?
They try to help get Riri some school.
You took.
See, they trying to make books cheap. So they don't have books for Riri.
You just took me all the way up here and brought me down with Riri.
So they trying to give Riri a Kindle because they figure, if we give them a Kindle, it's cheaper to give them the textbooks.
Okay.
Amazon's trying to make it so all the books will be available on the Kindle.
See.
But you still have this issue. This is what I'm saying. That's why, and Martin Luther King even said this in his speech about Vietnam. And remember, this is what has bankrupted all your other empires. Spending money on overseas conquering and invading of people. 7,000 Afghanistan is nothing but a damn desert. 7,000 drones? Even 700 sounded like a lot. 70 sounded more appropriate. But then 700, I said, it's a little much. 7,000 drones?
Yes, oh, shit. Well, the former Soviet Union knows what military spending, the example of how you can. But, Mario, here's
That's
the
why
part.
they went broke. They went broke in Afghanistan, didn't they?
But remember.
We helped the Taliban defeat them.
But remember, what breaks down, the system may break down, the people who basically are in need breaks down, but the system of government stays in place for the most part. Even if it's retuned again, historically, if you could shout to the mountaintop. But if you look at your history of conquering nations, everybody has a certain amount of time because greed sometimes leads you down that path.
That's the part that I go. I'm with Chomsky, and I say all governments are inherently corrupt. The powers that be can exercise control. What they learned about the quote-unquote democratic systems is that they're easier to control them with money, and then you could fool all the people who are sheep. Okay? So it's like the mafia. Why kill people? There's other ways to exert influence today. You could just cripple people's lives, get them divorced, have them lose their job.
Yeah.
You don't have to murder people.
No.
And so this is what happens, and this is how they take care of you. Right now, like I said, I do this because Americans, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so convinced that, they can piss on your head and tell you it's rain. And you just go, hey, thank you. I was wondering. We need rain. We need it. Can I get my rain?
It's all right.
All right. So I want to show you this piece about the UN. We talked a little bit about the money. We talked about the president's $100 million prison in Afghanistan. And now you got the whole issue of the UN. Well, Alex Jones, you all know we featured Alex Jones before. Now, Alex Jones, I'm a radical leftist, and he's like way left of me. Wherever. He's out in like la-la left man.
Right.
Just way out there.
Right.
So some of the stuff is a little outrageous with him, I admit. So remember, it's not an endorsement. But let's take a look at what Alex Jones has to say right now about your United Nations.
And I think it's an interesting comparison. A major sporting event in a large arena, New York City. But here's a question. Who will be the winners and losers? And for that matter, who are the referees? Well, to talk deeper about this, I want to go now to radio host Alex Jones in Austin, Texas. Hey there, Alex. Let's kick off this discussion a little more broadly. Just want to get your take on the United Nations General Assembly meeting. This is the 66th year of this meeting. What do you see as the reason for all these annual meetings?
Well, at the end of World War II, the main driver was the robber baron banking families in the United States and England, and they got the vanquished European nations to sign on and Russia to sign on to a certain extent, the Soviet Union. And that's why always, since its founding, the power has resided, as you pointed out, with the Security Council, and the rest of it is mainly a debating society, and the West has used the UN as a place to basically get all the world leaders in one place so they can have the IMF and World Bank come in and attempt to buy them off or set them up or use different sex operatives on them. But more and more, the UN has become more than a debating club, and it's become a place where opinions not popular with the ruling elite get voiced by the majority of other nations who see Israel as an apartheid state, regardless of which side of that debate you're on. And so now more and more the UN is being shown to be ceremonial and to be basically nothing but a arena for these fake debates. So that's why the West, mainly the U.S. and Israel and England, are now moving to try to even reduce the power of the UN more, because more and more it's not going along with their different directives. So that's basically my view on the United Nations. It was set up to help establish a private corporate global government through the big banks that are going into the other nations and trying to take them over via subterfuge and economic hitman operations. So now they're just moving to a pure global government run by finance oligarchs that we see swallowing Europe. They don't really even need the UN anymore for that. They have economic warfare.
So you're saying.
Now, let me add here, too. Remember, a lot of us saw the UN as really being international peacekeepers, right?
Yep.
Right, just like right now they have this thing of war crimes you hear all the time. And actually we had a sort of an international consortium that came together at The Hague. Does that sound familiar to people?
Yeah.
That when you get tried now for war crimes, they're brought to a committee at The Hague, right?
Right.
Well, I want you to understand, you know that the U.S. has refused to allow any of our folks to ever be charged. President Clinton confirmed it again. There is no international body that we actually allow Americans to be charged. The Hague has actually no rights to charge any American whatsoever, nor any part of our government with war crimes. And even though we were part of the people who set it up, isn't it interesting that we set it up but said they cannot judge us? And that's a fact. Go look. You can't charge the U.S. with war crimes. You can't do anything. So all this stuff that we're doing with the rendition, there's no charging anybody. You can't take Bush to The Hague because we don't recognize their authority as it relates to us, even though we set them up. And what happens when we don't recognize people's authority? 669 billion, 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. We spent 669 billion in military in 2010. What happens when we don't recognize your authority? Your authority ain't recognized. But I tell you what, you will recognize my authority.
You're wrong.
Because I can whip your ass, okay, and invade your country. So you will recognize my authority.
You're wrong, man. Why you want to put all that color and extra in there,
that's what they
man?
said on on South Park.
Yeah.
Recognize
That's
my authority.
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
So this whole issue of where the UN, you guys who want to get more on this, you can go take a look. It's a long piece talking about the role of the UN today.
Yeah.
And what they do.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because, as many of you know, the Palestinians are pushing for recognized statehood, and the U.S. will veto that. Okay.
Like I said, what's the solution?
Okay, so
what's the solution? I always say this. You can always bring me to concern. What's the solution?
Well, let's put it like this. Maybe if we did something more constructive, people wouldn't be attacking us all the time. Oh, but it has nothing to do with this stuff. Excuse me. They're jealous of our lifestyle. All right, everybody. This has been Mario Hemsley. It's been a crazy day.
He's happy now.
We've had to change things up a little bit.
And I'll shorten up the sports because we're running long.
That's right. It's
I gotta
been a
shorten it
crazy
up.
day.
Yeah.
But that's it. Let me get to where's my...
See, that's what happens.
I don't have my damn visual aids right.
When you get emotional,
I get caught up.
Damn
it!
You don't know where to press the buttons.
I can't.
And then you have. Did you go to Pornhub this morning?
No, but I was
Okay.
up there late last night.
All right.
Premium membership.
All right. Got
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, this has been the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. It's Conspiracy Wednesday. The president building prisons in Afghanistan. The UN is full of shit. And we need some breakfast. But, dun-dun-dun.